Yes, sir.
Okay, recording started. So my screen is also visible to all of you, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So guys, before starting the session, I just need to tell you one or two things, right? So whenever I'm explaining any concept, please be mute yourself. I will give enough time to ask the question, right? If you unmute yourself, then what will happen? Some background noise will be there and it will be distract not only me, but also the other people. And the second thing is that video is strictly prohibited, right? You should not turn on your video while I'm explaining the concept. And this is the reason is if you turn on your video, so the focus is not onto my screen. The focus will be on your video, right? Other people. I'm talking about who on the video. It will be distract the other people. So video is completely prohibited, right? You should not turn on your video and you should mute yourself. I will give you enough time to ask the question. Whenever I explain one concept, then I will give you the opportunity. If you have any doubt, any question, then you can ask and you can raise your hand. So this is to our first demo session. Today I'm going to start the session at 7:05 p.m. Not only today, the demo sessions are going to be from 7:05 a.m. But once the main session started, it will be exactly at 7 a.m. No less, no earlier. Time is time. You should not wait more time. I should not wait more time to people join the session. So time is very important. So the main session is going to start from 7. Demo sessions are going to be start from 7:05. So what we are going to discuss in first demo session or in this session. So we will discuss for whom this course is all about, what you will learn in this course, right? Why you should learn .NET Core, how I'm structuring this course, what is the course syllabus, how the course syllabus is designed, and finally, I will take some question and answers, right? If anybody having any question related to the session, right? Any question, that what I'm going to take, and then after then we will close the session, right? So let us start the today's session. So first of all, what you will learn in this training program. So as you know, or as I know, you joined this training program to learn .NET Core. So in this training program, you will learn basic, intermediate, and advanced concept of ASP.NET Core using .NET 6, right? So few people might be asked this question in the Telegram group. Sir, why .NET 6? Why not .NET 7 and why not .NET 8? The simple reason is I always prefer to provide the training on the .NET version which provide long-term support. So if you go to Microsoft website, which I will show you in tomorrow session, right? So for each .NET version, they might be providing long-term support or might be providing short-term support. The long-term support means it will be about 3 years, 36 months. Short-term means it is all about 18 months. And every right? So this is the reason why I'm taking .NET 6 because it is providing us long-term support. .NET 7, it is providing short-term supports. And generally in industry, people are trying to use the .NET version which provide long-term support. Second, why not .NET 8, which is also going to provide long-term support? The reason is currently .NET 8 is in the preview mode. .NET 8 is not officially released by Microsoft, and every year in the month of November, they are going to release the major version. So this is the reason why I'm taking this course using .NET 6. But I promised you once the .NET 8 released officially, what are the new features, what are the changes they have made to .NET 8, definitely I will explain it in this session, right? In this course. So what about what you learn in this course? You will learn how to build rich data-driven web application. So whenever I'm saying a data-driven web application means the web application which is going to interact with the database. If database is not there, then only by using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you can build the application. So once the database comes into picture, then you need to use some kind of a framework like ASP.NET MB, ASP.NET, Java, right? Without those things, PHP, right? So without these things, you cannot develop data-driven web applications. So data-driven means database is involved. So once the database is involved, we need some server-side programming language where the logic, where the code, whatever we written, those should be going to be executed on the server side to fetch the data from the database. So if you remember, if you see any from HTML, right, from your HTML code, you cannot directly interact with the database. For that purpose, you need some server-side programming language. And in our case, Java, C Sharp, right? These are nothing but your server-side programming language. And as we are going to learn ASP.NET Core, so we will see how we can use ASP.NET Core will reach data-driven web applications, right? So here we are not going to learn how we are going to develop a desktop applications, right? I'm not going to discuss Windows application or console application. It is only about web applications. So in this course, you will be learn how you can effectively performance optimized, how you will perform the CRUD operations, right? How you will perform the create, read, update, and delete operations. And the database in our session, I'm going to use SQL Server, but it is not mandatory. You can use any database as per your choice, like MySQL, like Oracle. So any database knowledge you have that you can use. But I'm going to use SQL Server because SQL Server and .NET are integrated with each other. Right. So in this case, what are the concept you learn? You learn the basic concept. So whenever I'm saying ASP.NET Core Basics means it is applicable to all kind of web applications. So doesn't matter whether you are learning or you are creating MVC application, whether you are creating web API application, whether you are using Razor Pages application. This core basic concept, what I'm going to explain from the beginning, it is applicable to all the different kind of web application. Then what I'm going to discuss, then I'm going to discuss Entity Framework Core and Edu.NET Core, right? So what is the Edu.NET? You know what is Edu.NET? It is a data access technology which is going to interact with from our .NET application with the database. Similarly, I'm also going to explain you how Entity Framework Core works in ASP.NET Core, because if you have prior experience of a .NET framework, then you might be aware of Edu.NET and Entity Framework. But the same concept, how you can implement using .NET Core, that is what I'm going to discuss. So Edu.NET Core and Entity Framework Core, both I'm going to explain. The next what I'm going to discuss ASP.NET Core MVC. So this ASP.NET Core MVC is very much similar to our ASP.NET MVC. So using, suppose you want to develop a web applications, right? Then in that case, you need to use ASP.NET Core MVC. Then what is it? Then we will learn ASP.NET Core Web API. Suppose you want to develop RESTful web services, right? And you want your services, so you want to design one application, right? That application should be used by multiple different kinds of clients, right? From your Angular application, they want to consume your service. From Android application, they want to consume your service. From iOS application, they want to consume your service. So if you want to develop one service which should be consumed by multiple different types of client, then in that case, you need to learn ASP.NET Core Web API. That is what we are going to discuss in detail. And finally, I will show you how you can integrate your ASP.NET Core Web API with Angular to perform the CRUD operation. And also at that time, I'm also going to explain one important factor, that is cost, right? Whenever you are consuming your web APIs from an Angular application or from a different application using the browser, right, using JavaScript, then in that time you might face the error called CORS, right? So CORS origin resource sharing. So how you are going to generate that CORS issue, how you are going to resolve that CORS issue, that is also I'm going to discuss in this training session, or you can say in this course. Any question from anyone? What you will learn?
No, sir.
Fine.
No question.
Okay, fine. And second thing, this training is completely industry oriented. So why I'm saying industry oriented? Because I am one industry person, because I'm working as a professional software developer, right? So I know what are the concepts are mostly used in the industry. So So basically, those concepts which are mandatory as a developer, as a programmer, when you work for any project in the industry, then those concepts are going to be covered in detail. Some of the highlight concepts are ASP.NET Core Identity. So what is the ASP.NET Core Identity? So this is nothing but if you want to implement authentication, token-based authentication, then you need to use ASP.NET Core Identity. ASP.NET Core Identity with JWT authentication. This is the good combination. Nowadays, people are using ASP.NET Core Identity with JWT authentication. I will explain this thing. So basic and token-based authentication without using ASP.NET Core Identity and JWT, how you can implement basic and token-based authentication. That is what I'm also going to discuss, right? SMAC. SMAC also I'm going to discuss what is SMAC. So SMAC is all about, suppose you are developing one web API and you want to make sure that the request whenever the my web API server receives, that request should coming from a trusted client. That request is not tampered by someone in between the client and the server. To make sure that request is coming from the client and that request is not tampered by some hacker or some middleman, right? So you need to use SMAC authentication. Encryption, decryption, this is a mandatory things because the reason is nowadays we are not transmitting or we are not transferring the data in simple textual format. If we pass the data in textual format, you think that whenever you are sending you develop one web application where you are sending the bank details, right? Your ATM PIN number, ATM card number, CPB, expiry date, everything you are sending over the internet. If it is in plain text and if those information captured by a hacker, then what will happen? So we should send the data in encrypted format, but even and when the that encrypted data reaches to the server, then the server should have the capability to decrypt the data and get the actual data. We will discuss how we can use app or DAP, how we will implement the Dapper in .NET Core, how we will implement Automapper in .NET Core, right? I'm going to give a introduction to microservices. I will implement one example, right? One practical example using microservices. But guys, I'm not going to discuss microservices in detail because it is a very huge course, right? And I'm not going to cover microservices in detail. This is going to be covered in a different course, right? The next course what I'm going to take is microservices using ASP.NET Core and Microsoft Azure. Next, what I'm going to discuss, how to implement payment gateway, right? And this is subject to condition. One guy from this batch gives me the assurance that he will provide me the payment gateway details. If he provides, then definitely I will implement the payment gateway in this session. Then I will show you how you can generate the reports in PDF and Excel format. I will explain how you can import the data from Excel file and how you can store those data into the database, how you will export the data into an XML file, right? And I will explain you how you can send email with and without attachment. I will explain MSL.NET. I will explain OAuth 2.0. OAuth 2.0 basically what exactly this meaning is. Suppose you are developing one web application. Nowadays, if you are providing the sign up or sign in functionality, then you will take the user data and whenever the user trying to log in, he needs to provide his user ID and password. But apart from this, you might be seeing in most of the application nowadays, they are asking log in with your Facebook account, log in with your Microsoft account, log in with your Google account. If you want to provide such kind of third-party authentication, then you need to use OAuth in your ASP.NET Core application. How we can develop such kind of application? That is what we are also going to discuss. We will discuss logging, and people are not taking login seriously. But for me, logging logging is one of the important things that you should and you must implement in your application. Why? Because today we develop the application hosted into the server. Tomorrow the application is not working, some error is coming, data is not uh, displaying in the proper format. Then how you will investigate where exactly the issue is? If you want to investigate what exactly the reason why the application is not working properly, then for that purpose, your application should have the proper logging. By looking at the log, I will show you what is the best method to implement logging. So by looking at the log messages, you can identify where exactly the issue, in which class, in which method, at what line number, what exactly the error message. Those information you will only able to will you will know only if you implement logging in your application. Then I will show you what is in-memory and a distributed caching. So in-memory and a distributed caching means what? Now, whenever, say, for me, whenever we are developing one application, I generally take three things into consideration. First one is the application business requirement. Application business requirement means what? For what purpose I am developing the application, that should fulfill. What is the business requirement? That should be fulfilled by the application. The second thing is security, right? If there is no security, then your product is no one is going to use your product. Second one is security. Definitely, your application should have the security mechanism. Third one is how fast your application is loading performance, right? Suppose you are opening internet, right? And you just search for one topic and then 10 pages are coming. You just click on one page which is taking 1 minute to load. Do you wait 1 minute for loading that pages and to see what content are there? And another pages is taking 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Then definitely you will go with the website which is taking less time. That means performance is one of the most aspect, right? One of the mandatory criteria that you need to consider whenever you are developing the application. So I will show you how you can store the cache in memory, right? How you can implement a distributed caching. Distributed caching means what? Now your application server is a different one and the caching server is a different one. So caching server is from somewhere else, and from your application, it will make a call to the caching server from where it will get the cache data. In memory means that is going to be in the same server where your application is hosting. I will show you how you can use Median R. I will show you how you are going to work with the Docker. I will show you how you can integrate your web API with your Angular application. Then I will show you how you can host and deploy your application into Microsoft Azure. Also, how you can implement, how you can host your application into IaaS server, right? So both options I'm going to discuss. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
the
sir.
next question is, sir, who should join this program? This training program is for whom? Right? So this training program, the course syllabus, I have designed in such a way that if you are pursuing your engineering career, that means if you are a student, if you are a beginner who is searching for any job, or if you are a fresher who just started his career in the industry, or if you are a professional like software developer having 5 or 10 years of experience and you want to enhance your knowledge, then for all these four kinds of peoples, like student, fresher, beginner, and experienced for people, they can join this course, right? Clear, guys? Who should take this course? So basically, student, beginner, and experienced professional, even fresher also they can choose this course. So what is ASP.NET Core? So again, see guys, what is ASP.NET Core? Why we should learn ASP.NET Core? All these things we are going to discuss in detail. I'm just going to give you a brief idea of what exactly you are going to learn, why you should learn, what are the things you can do with this ASP.NET Core, and the course detail. See, ASP.NET Core, right, which is currently we are calling .NET, is open source cloud optimized framework that can run on Windows, Linux, and Mac operating system. So previously, before .NET Core, we have a .NET framework. .NET framework is not open source. .NET framework is not cloud optimized, and the .NET framework cannot run on Linux and Mac operating system. .NET framework is Windows-based framework. You can also say that. And for running the .NET framework application, you only need IIS server, and you can only develop and host your application in Windows operating system. To overcome those things, ASP.NET Core comes into the picture. Again, we will discuss this thing in detail. I'm just going to give you a brief idea. So ASP.NET Core is free, open source, or one point you can also mention here, cross-platform, right? And the cloud optimized means .NET Core source code you can freely get from the GitHub repository. You can also contribute. They will verify, and they if think that this is a good, then they will add those things into the Git repositories. That means it is completely open source. And second, open source means its source code is openly available. Free means you can download it freely. And the third one is cross-platform, means now you can develop and run your .NET Core application on Windows, Linux, and Mac operating system. It is now not mandatory that you should have Windows operating system. You should have IIS server, right? It is not mandatory because it is a cross-platform. Now you can use Apache Tomcat, Nginx, IIS, Patrol, Castrel. So any kind of web server you want to host your application, that now you can do, right? So you can say this is the new version of ASP.NET. So the ASP.NET framework, which we learned earlier, you can say that is the older version of ASP.NET, and this is the new version of ASP.NET. And this framework is completely rewritten from the scratch. And why they have rewritten this from the scratch? Because they want to make, or they want to create a open source, modular, and cross-platform. And this is open source, means the source code is available on GitHub. And then modular means, what is modular? I will show you. Practically modular means what? Now whatever necessary that you can, what I can say, that you can include as you progress, you can start including one by one. It is not mandatory that you should include from the beginning. What we need to include, how need to include, what is there in by default, everything we will show you practical. I will show you practically. Cross platform means what? Now it can now develop and run on multiple platforms: Windows, Linux, and Mac operating system. So if someone asks you what is ASP.NET Core, then you can say it is a web framework, it is a open source, it is cross-platform, it is modular, it is cloud optimized. Cloud optimized means now you can host your application on Microsoft Azure, right? So which is nothing but a cloud. So you can develop your application and you can also host your application in the cloud. And now it is run on top of the .NET Core and the .NET framework, right? So what it means, if you want to develop one application which should run on top of the .NET framework, you can develop. If you want to run your application on top of the .NET Core, this is also possible. And these things, right, up to .NET Core 3.1. Right? If you are developing application using .NET Core 3.1, then you can run your application on top of the .NET Core. Else you can run or .NET from, but from .NET 5, .NET 6, .NET 7, these things, this is not supported. Only you can run on top of the .NET Core. I will show you, sir, what is .NET Core, what is ASP.NET Core, what is the difference between .NET Core and ASP.NET Core, how the .NET Core application run on the server, what is the custodial server, what is the IA server, what is the internet facing server, what is the internal server, what is the external server, how exactly the server handle the request and response. Everything we are going to discuss one by one. So yes, yes. Now, if anybody having any question, two persons raise their hand. Yeah, now you can ask any question.
So here you mentioned about the Azure, right? According to the cloud, only Azure cloud or ASP cloud also.
So ASP Cloud means Microsoft Azure is a part of Azure is a part of only Microsoft.
Okay.
And Microsoft Azure, or not only Microsoft Azure, you can host in other cloud platform, right? If you remember, for Microsoft, it's is Azure. For Amazon Web Services, AWS, right? So you can host your application into Microsoft Azure. You can host your application into Amazon Web Services, that is AWS, right? Anywhere you can host. But as we are learning .NET, which is related to Microsoft, so what a Microsoft provides the cloud platform, that is Azure, where we can host our application, but it is not mandatory. You can also host your application into different cloud platform. Clear?
So here the cloud optimized means, so cloud means it's coming
Here,
cloud.
cloud optimized means earlier, whenever you develop the .NET application using .NET framework, at that time you cannot host your application into cloud, right? So cloud optimized means it is they develop the application in such a way that it will not take more space in the cloud. So if you know the RAM, so whenever you are buying something in the cloud, right? In that time, what exactly happening? You need to choose what is your RAM size, what is your of CPU size, how many processor you want, what all these things you need to buy in the cloud only, right? But these things they are cloud optimized. Optimized means what? It will use less resources in the cloud. It will use less RAM, less CPU, less processor in the cloud. So by default, they have designed the framework in such a way that it will use less optimized in the cloud. This is the reason why it is saying cloud optimized. Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Any more question from anyone?
Mm.
Guys,
Hi.
don't raise your hand. Once I explain any particular topic, I will ask you only anybody having any question, right? Yes. Ask. What is your question?
This ASP.NET Core will be the package inside Visual Studio, or it will be separate, need to
See,
install.
ASP.NET Core is a different than Visual Studio. See, without using Visual Studio also, you can develop a ASP.NET Core application. And that is also I'm going to show. There is a tool called Visual Studio Code, which is not exactly Visual Studio. So using Visual Studio Code, using .NET Core CLI, you can develop and run your application. But Visual Studio is just a tool, right? Using which we can develop the .NET applications, but it is not mandatory. You can also use other tool that also I am going to show you. Visual Studio,
Okay.
but what happens whenever you install the Visual Studio latest version, automatically it will install the .NET Core or .NET framework into your machine. But additionally, explicitly also you can install .NET SDK. And once you install .NET SDK, then .NET SDK plus .NET runtime both are going to be installed automatically. And not automatically, explicitly you can install. But if you are installing Visual Studio, right, then automatically .NET SDK and .NET runtime both are going to be installed. Right, I will show you how you can install separately, how you can install automatically. Everything I'm going to show you practically. Right, once we discuss the environment setup. Right, at that time I will show you how you can download Visual Studio, how you can install Visual Studio Code, how you can install .NET framework a particular version into your machine, how you can verify whether which version of .NET framework installed on my machine, how we can develop application using Visual Studio, how we can develop application using Visual Studio Code, or how we can use .NET Core CLI to run, build, create .NET Core application. Everything we are going to discuss one by one. Clear?
Yes. Thank you.
Any more question, anyone?
I want to understand run on top of the .NET Core. What that
Pardon?
mean? Your
Can
statement
you
is na,
repeat?
run on top of the .NET Core and .NET Framework up to
Yes.
3.0,
So,
3.1.
see, yes, yes. I will explain these things again in detail. See what I mentioned. If you are developing .NET Core application using .NET Core 3.1 or .NET Core 2 or using .NET 1, right? Then you have the flexibility. You want to develop this application using .NET Core or .NET Framework. So as I mentioned one thing, ASP.NET Core and this .NET Core are not the same. Both are different, right? So ASP.NET Core, it is
Okay,
the application, it is the web application framework, and this .NET Core, it is the platform. And this .NET framework, it is also the platform, right? If you want to develop ASP.NET Core application, then up to 3.1, you can use .NET Core platform. You can also use .NET framework. If you use .NET Core platform, then it can target to any kind of operating system, right? And if you target .NET framework, then it is targeting to Windows framework, Windows-based machine only, right? I will explain this thing in detail, right? So first of all, this is the platform. This is the platform. and this is your web application development framework. Well, you can develop the ASP.NET Core application using .NET Core platform or using .NET framework. With the .NET Core, it is going to be cross-platform. You can host, you can develop using Windows, Linux, and Mac operating system. But while developing the ASP.NET Core application, if you choose .NET framework, then it is now it is not platform independent. It is tightly integrated with Windows only. And this facility available up to 3.1. Now we are developing .NET 6. So in .NET 6, there is no .NET framework options no available no more. Right now, it is only going to run on top of the .NET Core. Clear?
Yeah, good my answer. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any more question from anyone else?
Sir,
Yes,
are
sir.
you explaining every topic in the organization level?
Yes. Every topic from the basic to advanced, basic, then intermediate, then advanced, and every topic I am going to explain in depth. So you should not have any question. You should not have any query. What is this? How it is? And how it is used in the organization? Because some of the topics which I mentioned here, right? You cannot find any. Right, so nobody is going to discuss this identity, authentication, right, encryption, decryption, how it is implemented. So these are the things which are related to ASP.NET Core runs with .NET 6. What exactly that question?
Hello, sir.
Yes. So I'm saying that don't put any question in the chat window. I'm giving the time, so you have to ask the question directly. I'm not going to look the chat window again and again. Yeah. Ask me.
Basically,
Sir,
basically,
you have
what
written
is
that
framework?
integrating. Hello.
Sorry. Yeah, one by one. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, you have written that integrating Angular with that Web API. So for that, we need to learn Angular from the scratch, or only one that integrating part we have to learn.
I'm only going to show the integrating part, Angular, because nowadays, what happened? Now, suppose you develop one web API, right? Then that web API means I'm going to test using Postman, using Fiddler, using Swagger, right? These three kind of tools I will use to test the API, whether it is working properly or not. But that is not enough, right? Once you develop the application, then we also need to make sure that from other different clients, right? We are developing application not to test only from Fiddler or from my Postman or from Swagger, right? We also need to make sure from other applications they should consume our services. For that purpose, definitely we'll develop .NET Core applications. From .NET Core application, we'll consume .NET Core services. But from other framework, right? Nowadays, mostly Angular and React are using to develop the client-side applications, right? So, and other client-side applications are Android, iOS. So I will also show you how you can integrate your .NET Core application using Angular. Because I have experience on Angular, I do not have experience on React. So I'm not going to use React. I'm going to show you how you can integrate your .NET Core application using Angular. If you know Angular, that is well and fine. Otherwise, you should learn how you can integrate, right? I'm not going to explain Angular concept here. I'm going to say how you can integrate Angular with the ASP.NET Core Web API.
Uh, the question from my
Yeah.
side is, so basically, what is framework?
So framework means what I can say. You can say framework means, see, you have two options. You can do everything from the scratch. And second thing is the framework means it is just integrated with small different tools. You can say small different technologies integrated together, right? Suppose I'm going to develop a ASP.NET Core Web application. Then for developing ASP.NET Core Web application, many things are required, right? There should be some CSS file. There should be some launch settings.json file. There should be some views, right? There should be some main method with some code, right? Those code should host your .NET Core application, right? So if you are using the framework, right, then what it will do, it will provide all those things, right? Means it, you can say it is a ready-made software which you can modify as per your requirement. right? And this is ASP.NET Core, this is a framework. So this ASP.NET Core framework, if you use to develop your .NET Core application, then whatever minimum things required for developing the ASP.NET Core application, those things are going to be provided by the framework. You do not need to be worried how these things are working, how these things is coming, how internally those things are working, right? Internally, the complexity is managed by the .NET Core framework. For example, in .NET Core application, even though we are developing a web application, it is having the program class main method, mandatory. Main method is mandatory. And if you working with any kind of a console application, then you know that program execution is going to start from the main method. Then why there is a main method in ASP.NET Core web application, right? And if you look at the main method code, then they have already written some code. What is the use of those code? So those things are going to be provided by .NET Core framework. So framework means it will give you a ready-made solution or application which you can optimize or modify as per your business requirement. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Any question from anyone else?
Yes. Sir. So if we go for version 5.0, is it work in a .NET Core and .NET framework up to 3.1?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
If I am using the application using the version 5.0,
Yes.
is it support in .NET Core and .NET framework up to 3.1?
No. See, you misjudged me. See, up to .NET Core 3.1, you can develop application either using .NET Core platform or using .NET Framework platform. After .NET Core 3.1, .NET 5 came into the market. There is no .NET 4, .NET 5. If you are using .NET 5, then this .NET Framework platform is not available. You only have .NET Core.
Okay, sir.
Right? But again, why you are going to use .NET 5, which is already out of service?
Okay. So
Right?
some of the applications will be using that version, right? So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I
I'm
understand. But once the application is developed, that is developed. You only modify it. No new application is going to be developed using those old framework, old version of the .NET Core.
okay. So
Right?
I'm little bit confused regarding that
I
version.
will show you. I will show you this practically, right? How you can develop .NET Core application. Right? I will try to install older version of .NET Framework, and I will show you how you can develop application using .NET Framework and .NET Core using 3.1. And at that time, you will get a better clarity, right?
Okay.
Because
Thank
until and unless practical start using theory only, you cannot understand all the concept. Once I start practical implementation, I will try to develop .NET Core 3.1 application. At that time, I will show you. You have two options. You can use .NET Core or you can use .NET Framework. But then I will show you if you are developing .NET 6, then this .NET Framework option is no more available. Clear?
you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now the question is, why you should learn .NET Core? See, with .NET Framework, our earlier framework, there are some limitations. What are the limitations? First limitation is it is platform independent. It is not platform independent. It is platform dependent. That is, it can only run on Windows application, Windows operating system. And second, it is not open source, right? The source code is not openly available so that you can see how this method is implemented. I want to contribute something to this method. This is not possible with our .NET framework. Why? Because that is completely managed by Microsoft, and Microsoft products are well known for its window-based functionality, right? But nowadays they are providing some, and you can see nowadays the software industry is changing. Software industry is grooming. Everyone want open source, cross-platform, cloud optimized. This is the reason why they have introduced this .NET Core into the market, right? Clear? See, nowadays it's common to have one application that run across devices. What it means? It means what? Now we should have a web server where our backend database backend code is there. We should have an admin front end. You consider one desktop based application where the admin will do all the things. We have some web application, we have some mobile application which is going to be consumed by the consumer. That means for any particular application you take into consideration, one backend web service is there, some admin panel is there where the admin team is going to do the changes, right? They want to upload something, they want to download some report that is there. Web application is there which is going to be consumed by the using the web browser, and mobile application is also there. You can take the example of a State Bank of India. So State Bank of India means you will see that is a app, mobile app is there. You can also access the State Bank using your web browser, State Bank internet banking, right? For that particular case, there is some admin team also they sit in the SBI office, and they are using the Windows-based desktop, and where they are managing the uh, admin activities, right? Whenever there is a requirement for any loan or any kind of things, they are providing with the admin functionality, right? And then there is a mobile web application which the consumer is going to be used. That means for a particular application, you can say we need different kind of things, right? Different means web server is required, admin front end desktop is required, web application is required, mobile application is required. So there is a need a single framework that works everywhere. So basically we need a single framework that works everywhere. So considering this, Microsoft introduced to .NET Core. So now using .NET Core, we can achieve all these things. So we can develop a single application where we can not a single application. Basically, what you can say, it is a cross-platform application. So using .NET Core, we can develop the web server where the backend application is going to be what I can say deployed, right? We can develop Windows desktop. Not only Windows desktop, you can develop some desktop-based application which is going to be run on Windows, which is going to be run on Linux, which is going to be run on Mac. We can develop some web application also, right? For developing web application, we have the ASP.NET Core MVC framework, right? For my mobile application, they are also providing some framework that using you can develop mobile application. So basically, all the things whatever required to develop one project, right? One complete solution, right? They have provided .NET Core. How it is possible, that we will see in detail, right? How you can develop mobile application, how you develop desktop application, how you will use web application, web server, everything is possible using .NET Core. So the main objective of .NET Core is to make .NET framework open source and cross-platform. So once we make this cross-platform, then this is possible. Now it is not mandatory, right? What is meant by client and server? I will explain. So .NET Core means it is open source and a cross-platform, right? So what is meant by client and server means, suppose I'm having one application, right? I host that application into my server. You are having your laptop. In the laptop, you are having your browser. From the browser, right? For example, Facebook. So Facebook server is somewhere else. They have developed the application. They have hosted the application into some server. From your from your laptop, you just open the browser and you just access the Facebook website. How is that possible? So in that case, your browser is nothing but the client Facebook application where it is host somewhere in some machine, right? This that machine is nothing but your server. So from your client, from your browser, you are accessing the server. Clear? Okay. So what types of application you can develop? See, we can develop web application. For developing web application, server or web server. Yes, yes, server or web server both are same, right? So you can see this is my web application. So web application means in .NET Core, you can use ASP.NET Core, MVC, Web API, Razor Pages, microservices. You can develop mobile application using .NET Core. You can develop using console application starting 3.0. You can now develop what I can say, desktop-based application. You can develop IoT, Internet of Things. I don't have any experience into IoT, ML, and what I can say, this gaming. So I never developed this kind of applications, and you can also develop cloud applications, right? The application which is going to be hosted on cloud. So these are the different kind of applications that you can develop using ASP.NET Core. Next thing is prerequisites to join this program, right? So if what are the mandatory things you should know to take part into this training program? You should have the basic knowledge of HTML, CSS. CSS is not mandatory. If you know, that is good. Let me remove this one. HTML, C Sharp, and SQL Server database. Not all SQL Server means any database. You can take MySQL. If you have experience on Oracle, then that is also fine. So, but basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, and any database is required. That doesn't mean you need to be an expert on this HTML, CSS, SQL Server. Only the basic knowledge is required. Rest knowledge, as we progress in this course, whatever and whatever comes, I will explain, right? And one more point I just need to mention here is, as this training program is online, you might be missing some of the classes due to office work, due to internet issues, might be electricity problem, medical problem, any personal problem, so different time zone problem, right? So time zones, people are joining from different countries, so there might be some time zone problem, right? So we are going to provide a daily recorded session as well as daily class notes to each and everyone at the end of the session. So basically, those who are going to join the session, I'm going to create a Telegram group for all the paid members, and in that Telegram group, I'm going to upload the recorded session as well as the classroom. For example, today I explained this document. So at the end of the session, I will upload today's recorded session as well as this document into the Telegram group, right? And second thing, I'm going to take some doubt clearing session on weekends. So if you miss the class and after watching the recorded session, if you still have any question or if you still having some doubts, then you can join the doubt clearing session and clear your doubt and queries. But the point is that the doubt clearing sessions are only on weekends, and that is not in the morning, right? So morning 7 a.m. is not possible for the doubt clearing session. The time for the doubt clearing session is between 2 to 4 p.m. So accordingly, but for that purpose, you have to inform me earlier, sir, I am having some doubt related to this topic. And once you give me the message, then I will schedule the time, I will schedule the meeting, and I will invite, and you have to join the session. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Guys? Yes. Now,
Yes, sir.
now let us discuss what are the things. Will doubt clearing session be recorded? No, doubt clearing session is not going to be recorded because it is one-to-one, right? You are having some doubt, I will clear your doubt. What is the meaning of recording that session and uploading that session into the uh, Telegram group? Yes, what I can suggest is at that time I will give you the right, so that if you want, you can record the session on your local machine. Okay. So now let us proceed and discuss what are the things we are going to discuss as part of the course syllabus. So ASP.NET course, we will start from the ASP.NET Core basic concept. So this basic concept, it is applies to all kind of web applications. So if you are developing Razor pages, if you are developing MVC based, if you are developing web based, right? Any kind of application you take into consideration, you will understand this thing. So we will discuss what are the Microsoft web technologies. We'll discuss ASP.NET Core framework. We'll then discuss what are the list of software that are required to install in order to start developing .NET Core application, right? I will show you how. Guys, please mute yourself while I'm explaining the concept. Okay, so list of software that are required to develop .NET Core application. Then I will show you how you can explicitly download and install .NET Core framework and how you can verify the installation. I will show how to install SQL Server. I will show how to install SQL Server Management Studio. I will install Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition. I will show you what are the different edition, why you should prefer to go with the Community Edition, right? Along with, I will also show you how you can install Visual Studio Code, right? Then I will explain you what is ASP.NET Core environment setup. Then we'll start developing our core web application. I will explain the project file, main method, and then there are two types of hosting for .NET Core application. One is right. Then we will have. Then I will explain the. So guys, I'm saying again and again, don't put anything on the chat window because it is disturbing me because in between the explanation, I'm going and looking at the chat window. So once I explain any concept, I will give enough time to ask the question, whatever question on your mind, you will ask. Because the thing is that I'm explaining something and in between the explanation, one message coming. Then I need to go and check the message. So it should not be the case. So any question you can ask me directly. Once I give you the time for any question. Right. So we will explain what is in process hosting, what is out of process hosting, what is Custral web server, right? So what is launch setting.json file, app setting.json file, what are middleware components? So if you are working with earlier version of application, then there you might be find some startup class. But this startup class concept is removed from .NET 6, right? There is no more startup class. Then you might be questions are whatever the services and middleware we registered using the startup class, how we can do with the .NET 6 application. Yes, we can also register the services and middleware component, but for that purpose, we are going to use the main method. That is what I'm going to discuss. What is the request processing pipeline? Right? If you are having multiple middleware component, how these components are going to be executed one after another, how they are accessing the request data, all these things we are going to discuss. What is the importance of a root folder? A root folder means if you want to have some static files to be installed into your application, like images, like Bootstrap, CSS, JavaScript. Right? For that purpose, we are using this www root folder. What is the importance of this root folder? We'll discuss. Then we'll discuss one static files middleware component. We'll see how we can configure the default page. We'll understand the environment variables. Then we'll discuss what we'll discuss. We'll discuss developer exception middleware component. I will show you ASP.NET Core command line interface, and I will show you how you can use ASP.NET Core command line interface to create one application, to build one application, to run one application, as well as I will also show you how you can use .NET Core, how you will use Visual Studio Code to develop and run your .NET Core application. So all these things will become as part of our basic concept, and these things are common irrespective of web application you develop using .NET Core. So what it means, now I'm not going to cover this concept again and again. Once I cover, it is applicable to MVC as well as web API. I'm not going to discuss these things separately for MVC and separately for web API. So this is the common thing that I will explain once, and I will use these things again and again in ASP.NET Core MVC. In ASP.NET Core MVC, whenever I develop the application, you will find this launch setting, application settings, this www root folder, right? This middleware component. I'm not going to again explain those things. What are these again? Again, you will find the same classes, same files, same concept in web API. At that time also, I'm not going to explain this thing again and again. So I will explain this thing as part of our basics. Clear? Or anybody having any doubt? So any yes, guys. Someone ping in the chat box. What is the question?
Sir, what do you mean by out of process hosting? ASP.NET Core out of process hosting means?
Okay, I will explain this concept in detail, what is out of process hosting. But as you asked, let me give one idea. So as you know, ASP.NET Core is a cross-platform. What it means? It means you can host the application using IIS, and you can also uh, host the application using other web server. And for other web server, we are generally using the Costral as the web server. So whenever you use Costral web server, then what will happen? So we have two options. You can use Costral as the only web server which is going to handle the request. Along with the Costral web server, you can also use the IIS, right? IIS. So whenever you use Costral along with IIS as the web server for handling the request, then in that case, the IIS is going to be the interface facing web server, which will get the request from the client. Then IIS will forward that request to the Custodial web server. Custodial web server is actually going to execute our application code. So in that case, two web servers are going to be used to handle the request, right? Again, as I told you, these are individual chapters, right? We will take each individual chapter in detail. I will show you everything is practically. Each individual chapter, whatever I'm mentioning here, I'm going to cover in detail, right? Right now, if I will explain this, what is out of process, what is launch setting, you will not understand. But to understand this thing, we need to go step by step. So what I'm making you to understand is these are the concepts which we are going to cover in our syllabus, right? What is in process hosting? I will show you practically by diagram, by example. I will show you whenever you are using in process hosting, what are the things to be understand, how it is executing your application code, right? Everything I will show you practically. Don't worry. But if I'm going to explain one concept from here and there, then you will not understand. We'll go in a proper manner, right? Everything I'm going to. So here I'm just going to give you that this is the idea, this is the course syllabus, which we are going to cover in our upcoming sessions. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So then once the basic,
Sir,
yes,
one question. So these
yes.
basics concepts will be applied for Blazor applications also?
Blazor is a different story altogether, right? There are WebAssembly and some different concept together. And even I have not checked with Blazor, right? I do not have that much of a experience into Blazor. So once I checked and once I verify, then only I can give you the answer. But as of now, I never create any kind of Blazor applications. I only worked with the web application, MVC application, and a .NET Core concept. So Blazor, I never worked. So I cannot say anything related to Blazor. Clear?
Okay.
But what I can say, you why not you try this thing by your own?
Mhm.
So once we understand the concept, let's see whenever we create the Blazor application, whether these things are applicable to Blazor application or not. Because Blazor is a different kind of applications altogether. What I understand is, right, if you remember earlier to write the client-side code, right, we use JavaScript. But instead of a JavaScript, now we can use C# as the client-side code. For that purpose, we are using Blazor or something kind of things. But to be frank, I do not have that experience on Blazor,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Sir,
So
it's a
there,
ASP is it's a server active server page, right? So we are writing the code in the ASP.NET or because the C#
see,
also we are writing the code, right? What
it's
is
a
the
active.
difference?
So this ASP means active server pages. This is the name of full name of the ASP. Here, the code whatever we are going to write is using C# only, right? So ASP means it is the full name of the term ASP, active server pages.
This
In
is just
network,
like a framework, sir, or
which one you are
it's a
talking?
server
ASP.
page.
No, there is no separate page. This is just a term which Microsoft provided to us. ASP.NET means active server pages. Net means network enabled technology, right? Through internet, if you are accessing any pages of .NET Microsoft, so we are saying that as ASP.NET, right? You can take consideration web form application, that is ASP.NET. You can take consider into web ASP.NET MVC application, that is part of ASP.NET. If you are developing ASP.NET Web API, you are accessing using HTTP protocol, that is also part of ASP.NET. ASP means what? Whenever you are accessing something using the network, right, internet, then through a browser, that is nothing but your ASP.NET, right? So there is no specific meaning of a ASP, active server pages means it is a different page altogether. There is nothing, nothing like this. And recently, this .NET Core, right? We are saying ASP.NET Core basics and like this, but this ASP word is altogether removed. Now people are only saying .NET 6, .NET 7, .NET 5. The term ASP is no more used. But as we are acquainted with the ASP.NET term and this core term, we are using. But to be frank, If you visit the Microsoft documentation website, that I will also show you. Simply they are saying .NET 6, .NET 7. This core word, this brand ASP word is no longer used. Clear?
Yes, sir.
And ASP.NET Core is the latest version of ASP.NET. So again, Shiva, I'm saying any question you can directly ask. Interaction is better than this chat message. ASP.NET Core is the no, ASP.NET Core is not the latest version of ASP.NET. It is completely rewritten from the ground, right? ASP.NET latest version is 4.8. This is the ASP.NET Core framework. This is completely rewritten from the scratch, right? It is a different framework altogether. That one is the that is a different framework altogether. It is not the latest version of ASP.NET.
No,
ASP.NET
my
is a
question
different.
is C# is the coding, right, sir?
Yes, yes,
ASP.NET is we are writing the code we are calling this one ASP.NET framework. So
yes,
we are
yes.
writing.
Code is going to be written using C# only.
Oh, we are writing C# coding, right?
Yes, yes. And ASP, there is nothing called ASP.NET, right? Either you can use ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Web API, ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core Web API, so ASP.NET Core Azure Pages. These are the technology framework that you need to use. There is nothing specifically called ASP.NET in people in my in .NET, right? People are saying ASP.NET. If I say ASP.NET, then what it will reflect? Whether it is you have to tell ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Web Form, ASP.NET Web API, ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core Web API. These are the terms that we need to use. There is nothing called a specific ASP.NET provided by Microsoft. But as all these technologies are starting with ASP.NET, so we are saying that ASP.NET, but nothing specific. Okay. So once we discuss the basic concept, then we will start the ASP.NET Core introduction and the setup. So basically, what is MVC framework? What is the model? What is view? What is controller? How they are integrating with each other, right? What is the use of each component in MVC based application? That things we will discuss. We will discuss how you can set up the MVC in ASP.NET Core. We will discuss what is this add controller, add MVC controller with views and add reservations. These are some of the services. What is the use of each service? Right. We'll then discuss what is model controller views, right? Dependency injection. Uh, then I will show you these things. I will show you without using the MVC project template. I will explain everything manually, and then I will show you these things you can also automatically get if you use the MVC template. So basically, I will explain you what are the different kind of project template that are available to develop the application. If you use this particular project template, then what is the project structure? What are the things they provide by default? So as you mentioned, ASP.NET Core is modular. Modular means it will not give you everything from the whenever you create the application. Whatever required, that you will give. Additional things you require, that you need to add by your own. Unlike the other .NET framework applications, here you can add the things as you require. It will not give you all the necessary, or it will not give you all the things which are not required. Whatever required from the base, that only you will give. Additional things you need to add manually. So all these things we will see practically. Then I will show you what are the data passing technology. Data passing technology means what? Now you create the controller, and inside the controller you create the action method. If you do not understand what is controller action method, just simply say you are having one class. Inside the class you are having a multiple method, and there is some HTML file. You want to pass the data from your method into the HTML file. How you can provide the data, how you can pass the data? For that purpose we are having multiple data passing technology. So we will discuss what is view bag, view data, temp data, what is strongly typed view, what is the importance of a view model. All these things we will discuss as part of this chapter, right? Then we'll discuss routing. Routing means what? Now, if you are working, if you have prior experience of ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Web API, then you might be know there are two types types of routing. One is conventional routing, another is attribute routing. And the same routing concept is available here, but with some enhancement. What are the enhancement that we will discuss? So in this case, we'll see how you can set the routing middleware component. What is the default routing? What is the format of the routing? How you can modify, customize the conventional based routing, right? Then I will show you customize in the sense you want to make a different URL pattern. You want to provide some URI parameter. You want to set some default parameter value. You want to apply some constant on the parameter value. That means what? Now you want to create the URL pattern where the ID parameter is there, but you want to make sure that this ID should be of integer type, or should be of a specific type. So those kind of customization we are also going to see. Again, I will explain you what is attribute routing, what is the advantages of attribute routing over our conventional based routing. Right? Again, all the customization which are done using the conventional based routing, the same thing is also applicable to routing. But one important concept which was introduced with ASP.NET Core is routing using tokens. So what is routing using tokens? That is what we are going to discuss. Then we will discuss the MVC views. So already when we come to this place, we already discussed this views in ASP.NET MV. So whenever we create one controller action method, for that particular action method, we created some views. We created a particular view. Where the view is created, how the view is created, right? What is the default convention over configuration, right? We have already discussed when we come to this part. So here I will explain what is layout view, what is section, what is view start, what is view import. All these things we are going to discuss. Are you also going to teach other than MVC architecture like web API and microservices? Yes. I'm going to explain. Let me complete the course syllabus, then you will understand what are the things I'm going to explain, right? So here I'm going to discuss the view. So what is view and all this layout? What is the importance of layout, section, view start, view import? All these things we will discuss. Then I will show you how you can install Bootstrap and jQuery into your ASP.NET Core MVC application. So what are the different mechanism? Which mechanism should you use? So there is a tool called library manager. So using that library manager, how you can manage the Bootstrap and jQuery file, that we will see, and then I will show you how you can use Bootstrap and jQuery in your .NET Core MVC application. How ASP.NET is different from ASP.NET Core MVC. So let me complete the course syllabus. The main session is going to start tomorrow, right? When I will explain the introduction to ASP.NET MVC Core MVC. At that time, I will show you what is the difference between SPC. There is no difference between ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Core MVC. So here the point that you need to remember is MVC is the model view controller architectural design pattern. That architectural design pattern is implemented by ASP.NET Core in its own way. That is implemented by ASP.NET MVC in their own way. That architectural pattern is also implemented in Spring. If Java people, they also implemented Spring. So MVC is the architectural pattern. That pattern, how implemented using ASP.NET MVC, how implemented in ASP.NET Core MVC is the thing, right? But there is no difference between ASP.NET Core MVC and ASP.NET MVC. What difference is the framework. ASP.NET framework is different. ASP.NET Core framework is different. ASP.NET framework is tightly coupled with Windows operating system, and that framework you cannot host once you develop, you cannot host into multiple different kind of servers, right? You cannot host using Apache Tomcat, you cannot host using a different server, right? But once you develop a ASP.NET Core MVC application, you can host that application into IIS, into what I can say, Nginx, into Apache, right? Different servers are there. Again, that ASP.NET Core MVC framework, what we are going to learn is open source. The source code is openly available in the GitHub. So one method, one method is implemented. If you want to see what code they have written as part of that method, you can go to GitHub repository and you can check what method, how the method is implemented. But this is not possible with ASP.NET MVC, right? So if you ask me what is the difference, there's no difference between ASP.NET Core MVC and ASP.NET MVC. So difference should be what is the difference in ASP.NET Core and ASP.NET. MVC is architectural pattern, and many, not only ASP.NET Core, not only ASP.NET, even Java people, even PHP people, right? They have also implemented this MVC design pattern, architectural design pattern. Clear? Okay. So once we discuss this, then we will discuss the tag helpers. If you are having some experience on ASP.NET MVC, then you can compare these tag helpers with the HTML helpers, right? So in MVC, we use HTML helper, and here we are going to use tag helper. HTML helper is also available here, but mostly we are going to use tag helper, and using tag helper will give you more options than using the HTML helper. So why we should use tag helper? Why not we can use the HTML helper, or why not we create the plain HTML text, right? HTML element. What is the benefit of using HTML tag helper? Sorry, ASP.NET Core tag helper. All these things we are going to discuss. So how all these things we will discuss in this session. Then we will discuss model binding and validation. So this is one important thing that you need to understand. See, whenever we are having some route, see, whenever you create a form, right, the form having some data, and whenever you click on the submit button, you want to submit those data into some controller action method. How you are going to submit the data? How the controller action method will receive the form data? So those things is now going to be performed by the concept called model binding. Right? So model binding is there in ASP.NET MVC, also available in ASP.NET Core MVC. So here we will see how we will get the form value data, how we will get the route data, how we will get the core string data. Right? So what is the difference between route data and the core string data? We will discuss things in practically when we started discussing this concept. Then once we get the data, one of the most important concept that we need to understand is validation. Whether the data what we are receiving right from the UI valid or not. So for that purpose, we are using the concept called ASP.NET Core or data annotation. We will see what is data annotation, how you can use data annotation to validate the model data. We will also use this Fluent API concept to validate the data. So Fluent validation. Right, then we'll see how you can implement the client-side validation. Means what? Now in the client side there is a text box, right, and we want to make sure that if the user doesn't fulfill the text box, doesn't give any information in the text box and click on the submit button, then instead of validating that inside our controller action method, we need to validate that in the client side only. So we need to pop up some message that you have to enter the value for this particular field, otherwise I'm not going to submit the form. So those kind of a client-side validation we will discuss. We will also discuss remote validation. Remote validation means what? Now, if you are creating an account in your Gmail, so while you are creating the account, what will
Background
happen?
noise is coming. Background noise is coming. Hello?
So guys, background noise for everyone, or you are only facing?
No, sir, background noise is not coming from your side.
Background noise is coming?
No, sir, not coming.
Because I do not have any noise inside my room. It's completely empty and completely pure.
No, sir, it was clear.
No, sir, everything is good.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay, so can you restart? Can you rejoin? Because you might only face this problem, not everyone. Okay, so remote validation means what? Now, if you say whenever we are creating a Gmail account, right, and whenever we enter the Gmail means some name Pranay Kumar 777, then immediately he is saying that this username is not available, not exist. Please choose a different one. So those kind of validation, how exactly it is happening? It will make a call to the database. In the database, it is checking whether this name is available or not. If available, then no issue. Name is not available, then it will immediately give you that this name doesn't exist. So such kind of validation we can also implement by using this remote validation cost here. And finally, we will see how we can use or create our custom validation attribute. So whenever I'm saying this validation means their attribute. Attribute means in .NET attribute is nothing but it's a class inheriting from the attribute superclass. So we will see how we can create our custom validation attribute and how we can use that custom validation attribute in our application. Then we'll discuss scaffolding, MVC controller, and action. See what exactly this is. Now, whenever we create the controller, then while creating the controller, we will specify that please create the required action method and index for us for this particular model. So we need to tell this is my model and this is my entity framework code, and please create the required action method, required views for us. And for that purpose, how it is, we need to use scaffolding, controller, and action. So we will see this thing, how we can create index. We are not going to create, how we will tell the MVC framework to create the index, update, delete, and a details action method for us. This is nothing but scaffolding. And this concept is not new. It is also available in your ASP.NET MVC framework. Right, then I will show you, then I will explain this entity framework core concept, right? So once you understand this basic concept, we need to integrate with the database. For integrating with the database, what we need to understand entity framework core. So before that, I will explain edu.NET core. Edu.NET core is not in this course syllabus, I have forgot to mention, but definitely I will take some classes related to edu.NET core. I got one message there. There's some other patterns. See, MVC, MVP, MVPM. MVP, MVPM, those are outdated. No one is using. We are only going to discuss the MVC design pattern. Right?
Can I ask
do not know.
question?
Yes, please.
Please tell me difference between a .NET Core and .NET.
I will explain this thing in detail in tomorrow's session. We are just discussing what are the things we are going to learn, right? .NET Core, .NET, as I mentioned you earlier, right? .NET Core and .NET, I will explain everything in detail. Just today, just the demo session. Demo session means what are the things we are going to cover. Concept related things are going to be started from tomorrow. I will explain each and every concept in detail. What is .NET Core? What is .NET? What is ASP.NET? Right? Everything I'm going to discuss. I'm going to explain how they are working. All these things are going to start from tomorrow. Today just the demo session. Demo session means any question answer related to the course. What are the things I'm going to cover as part of this training session that I'm going to explain. If I'm going to explain what is .NET, what is .NET Core, then I could not complete that. What are the things I'm going to cover the course syllabus explanation in today's session, right? I hope you understand. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. So any question related to particular topic, I'm going to explain more. But as you mentioned, what is .NET, right? There is, and what is .NET Core. So up to .NET 3.1, we are saying this is .NET Core, or we are saying this is ASP.NET Core. But from .NET Framework 5, that core word is gone. Nowadays, we are not saying it is .NET Core. We are simply saying .NET 5, .NET 6, .NET 7, .NET 8. Core brand name they have just removed from .NET Core, right? So don't confuse that .NET Core and so guys, I'm saying again and again. Anybody having any question, you can directly ask me. Don't put in the chat window because I'm not going to check the chat window again and again. Any questions? See, once I explain this course syllabus, right? Then I will give you enough time to everybody to ask the question. Let me first finish the course syllabus, whatever I'm going to explain. Then I will take questions from each and everyone. Is that clear?
Okay.
Yeah. So entity framework core, again, I'm going to discuss in detail, right? Whatever I have provided here, how to download, how to install, how to work with the existing database, how to work with the, how to create a new database using entity framework, what is one-to-many, one-to-one relationship, what is connected, what is disconnected scenario, right? Fluent, how you can use Fluent API, how the entity framework track the entity state. All these things I'm going to discuss. Again, I'm going to show what SQL statement exactly entity framework create behind the scene. Everything I'm going to discuss in detail. And again, this concept of what I'm going to explain, this is again common for all the .NET Core applications when you are going to use entity framework core. So this concept here I'm going to explain. Again, I'm not going to explain all this concept in detail when I will discuss the ASP.NET Core Web API part. Clear? So this is common thing which is applicable to all .NET Core applications. Once we discuss this thing, then I will discuss how you can implement file upload exception handling. It is a common thing that we need to upload some file, image file we need to upload, right? Or some Excel file we need to upload. How you can upload multiple file at the same time, right? How you can import export Excel data. So those things I'm going to discuss. Again, I will discuss how you can handle the exception, right? How you can create a global exception handling, how you can use the developer exception page, right? So those all this, how you can create your custom exception handler. So all these things we are going to discuss as part of this file handling, file upload and exception handling. Then we are going to discuss logging and caching. Again, this logging and caching, whatever I'm going to explain, it is applicable to both .NET Core and a web API. So here I will explain all the concept with MVC, and while I'm discussing the web API, I'm not going to explain the concept. I'm going to directly use the concept in web API. So again, as it is common thing, so what is logging, how logging is implemented, why you should use logging, these things I'm not going to explain 2 times. I'm explaining one time, implementing in MVC application, as well as I will also implement in the web API application. So what is the importance of caching? What are the different caching mechanism there? Why you should prefer distributed caching over in-memory caching? When you need to prefer in-memory caching over distributed caching, right? All these things we are going to discuss in this chapter. Then I will discuss ASP.NET Core Identity. This is the security. Again, this concept is related, or this is applicable to both MVC and a web API. So I'm not going to discuss this ASP.NET Core Identity 2 times. I will explain the concept one time, use the concept 2 times. I'm going to use with the MVC application, I'm going to use with web API application. So how you can implement ASP.NET Core Identity, right? So basically I will show you how you can create the token, how you can create the role, how you can update the create, update, delete user account, create, update, delete user role, right? How you get the user information from the token, how you can implement that log out, log in, remember me functionality, how you will make sure that a particular user have access to a particular method or not. For that purpose, we are using some kind of a user role, authorization, management.
Your voice is not coming.
Yeah, sir, we lost you.
No, actually there is some internet issue, so I just reconnect. Now I'm audible, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask what is API?
What is API? So you just tell me what you know about API.
I don't know.
So that is the reason why you are joining this course. What is API? I'm going to explain this thing in detail. Right? So just let me complete the course syllabus. API part we have not yet started. We are just starting the MVC part. After the MVC, the API part will come. Right? Please be patient. Please give some time, and please wait for some time. Right? So everything I'm going to do, you do not know what is API. That's why you are here to learn. Right? I will explain all these things in the what is RESTful services, what is SOAP-based services, what is application programming interface, API, what you are saying that is application programming interface, what is the importance of API, why you should develop API, right? How API is consumed by different clients, all these things we are going to discuss. I'm going to explain all these things in detail. Right? If this is not what I can say, this is not a concept related session where I'm going to explain the concept. This is overall what you are going to learn, any question related to this session. That is what I'm going to discuss. I'm not going to discuss what is MVC design pattern, right? What is API, how API work. These things I'm not going to discuss today. If you ask me what is a identity server, I'm not going to explain this concept supposed to be in today's session. Today's is just a question answer discussion related to the course, related to the syllabus, how I'm going to prepare the syllabus, what are the things I'm going to discuss. I'm just giving you a brief idea, right? So once you understand this thing, then I will explain external identity provider as I discussed. If you want to implement Google authentication, Facebook authentication, Microsoft authentication, then how it is work, how you can implement in your MBC application. That is what we are going to discuss as part of our external identity provider. Then bundling and minification. If you are worked on earlier version of MBC and Web API application, then you might know these things, right? If you want to minimize the number of a database call from client to server, right? Then you need to use this concept, right? So bundling means you need to bundle the multiple CSS file, multiple JavaScript file into a single bundle, and that single bundle you can load at one. Minification means if you work with the Bootstrap, right? Then there is a minified version of the Bootstrap file and a non-minified version of the Bootstrap file. If you want to minified means how you can minify your CSS, your JavaScript file with by sorting the name, by removing the space. So those things I will show you how you can implement in your application. And advanced concept means I will these are the concept which people's interested. MSL OAuth 2.0, Dapper, generating PDF, email service, so export, implementing payment gateway, CQRS, and how .NET Docker is working. And then I will show you how you can deploy on-premise hosting and deployment means in your own server, how you can deploy. On cloud, how you can deploy. So those things I'm going to discuss. Once the MVC is completed, then I will start discussing the Web API part. Right. So first I will discuss what is ASP.NET Core Web API, why you should learn Web API, how Web API is integrated, what is RESTful services, why you should use RESTful services, what are the properties of RESTful services. When we said that the service is a RESTful services, all these things we are going to discuss. Then we'll discuss what are the software required for ASP.NET Core Web API development, environment setup, right? We'll discuss hypertext transport protocol. So in this case, we'll discuss what is HTTP, what is HTTP VAR, what are HTTP method, all these things we are going to discuss. Then we'll discuss our application using .NET Core CLI, how to test application using Postman, how to test application using Fiddler, how to test application using what I can say Postman, Swagger, right? Then I will show you how you can develop application using Visual Studio 2022, right? Then I will show what is the ASP.NET Web API files and folder structure, what is the use of each file and folder, right? And then if you are developing one API from the scratch, by default Swagger is not there. Then if you want to implement, include Swagger in your .NET Core Web API application, then how? And then we'll discuss why .NET 6, right? Then we'll discuss what are the middleware component, what is the use of a run use and the next method, map method, how you can create your custom middleware components. Routing again, the same thing, route, whatever we discussed in MVC, all these things are also available in Web API. So again, we are going to discuss the routing method. I'm going to discuss what are the different return types, means how you can return JSON data, how you can return XML data, how you can return string data, integer data, different kind of data from your action method. Then I will discuss what are the HTTP status code, what are the important HTTP status code that you should return from your action method. So I will explain these things, but I will give you a list of all the HTTP status code that you can return from your action method. Once you understand this thing, then other things you can easily implement by your own. Then I will show you model binder. That means what? How you can get the data from the query, from the route, from the HTTP request body, from the HTTP form, from the HTTP header. And then I will show you how you can create your own custom binder. Then I will show you dependency injection and repository design pattern in your .NET Core Web API application, right? And while using dependency injection, I will say what is the importance of add singleton, add scope, add tangent. So this basically decide what is the scope, what is the lifetime of your dependency object, whether the dependency object created for request, for session, for application. So that you can set using this add singleton, add scope, and add transient method. How you can do this, what is the importance, what is the difference between them, which one to use at what scenario, all these things we are going to discuss. Then again, I'm going to discuss ASP.NET Core Web API with Entity Framework Core. As you can see here, I'm only going to use entity framework code. Concept already discussed in MVC part. Here only going to perform the CRUD operation, and the necessary things, how you can read the connection string database context, right? Perform the CRUD operation and how you can change the data into the table. Those things I'm going to discuss here. Then I will show you HTTP method means what, how you can implement HTTP method, right? That return a particular data, that return all the data. What is the importance of HTTP post method, HTTP put method, right? Right, HTTP patch method, HTTP delete method. All these things I'm going to discuss, because whenever we are working with ASP.NET Core Web API, it is all about these methods only. So you should have decorate your method with HTTP form, which should specify that this method is for get request or post request or put request or patch request or delete request. What is the use of each HTTP form, that we will discuss in detail. Then again, logging and Serilock. This is a new concept, new tool you can say, which is provided by .NET Core. Using this Serilock, you can effectively utilize your logging mechanism in your .NET application. So I will discuss without using Serilock, how you can implement manually logging in your application, and then I will explain you how you can log the data to a text file data to some database table, and finally I will explain how you will use Verilog to provide or implement log in your application. Validation already we have discussed. We need to understand what is fluent validation. I will show you not only fluent validation, here also data annotations are present. I will show you fluent as well as data annotation to validate your model data in ASP.NET Core Web API. Like the way we have implemented scaffolding in ASP.NET Core MVC, the same scaffolding concept is also available in ASP.NET Core Web API. So here also we'll tell the entity framework to generate the necessary required action methods for us for a particular model. So in that case, we need to tell this is my model, this is my entity framework. Please use entity framework to create the model for us. So that is what we are going to discuss in detail. Security we will discuss. Already we have discussed the ASP.NET Core identity. So we will discuss how we can implement this in our application. Again, we'll discuss what is refresh token, how you can implement the refresh token, what is a token, what should be the lifetime of a token, can we create a token with a longer period of lifetime, why we should not use those kind of tokens, at what scenario we need to use longer period of tokens, at what scenario we should use a short lifetime token. So all these things we are going to discuss. API versioning, it is also available in .NET Core, right? Suppose what is API version, but today we developed one API and we have provided that API to the client, and the client A is using that API. Tomorrow client B comes into the market, and tomorrow the client B wants the an enhanced version of that API. They want to add some more parameter as the input data. They want to retrieve some output data with some additional parameter. But we cannot do the changes to the existing API. If we do the changes to the existing API, then the client A who is using my API will he will get some error. That API will not work for the client A. So in that case, what we need to do is we will create another version of the API, will host, and the client B is going to use the new version of the API. Client A is going to use the older version of the API. So that is what API versioning. What are the different mechanisms to implement API versioning? That is what I'm going to discuss. Hosting and deployment, again, I will show you how you can create the account in Microsoft Azure and how you can deploy and your application and database to the Microsoft Azure. Then consuming web API in Angular application, right? So basically, I will show you how to create Angular application, how to install Angular, and how to install Bootstrap. Then I will show you how you can consume the web API, right, to perform the CRUD operation. At that time, I will show you how the course issue come into the picture and how you can fix the course issue for your ASP.NET Core Web API application. Then I will show you how you can perform this get, post, and delete. Means how you can call the get method of the Web API, how you can call the post, put, and delete method of the Web API to perform the required actions. Then we will discuss what is global error handling, caching, how you can implement the sorting, filtering, and paging functionality, and add JWT authentication to Swagger. We'll provide unit testing using MS Test and as well as using X unit. I will show you some basic information about Microsoft. I will develop one application using ASP.NET Core Web API to implement microservices. Then I will show you throttling and rate limiting, minimal APIs, and I will explain what is asynchronous uh, methods, right? How you can make the method as async, how you can implement await operator inside your method. Encryption, decryption is there. Automapper is there. SSO implementation is there. SSO implementation means single sign-on. See, I will show you how you can implement this SSO. And X unit, I already discussed. We will provide you both the option MS unit, MS test and X unit. And finally, I will discuss what is HMAC in ASP.NET Core VVP. With this, we will complete our course syllabus. Now, anybody having any question, they can ask me.
I have a question. You're going to teach fluent validations. Any chance
Exactly.
of fluent assertions to it?
Sorry?
Any chance of adding fluent assertions to the course with
No,
validations?
and that we'll see, because this course syllabus is already designed, right? It is not initially I target this to be completed in 4 months. But as we have added many new topics to this course, it might not be completed in 4 months. If we have time, then definitely I will add. Otherwise, what I can do is I'm taking some seminars, right? On the seminar, free seminars, you can attend, and at that time I can explain the concept.
Yeah, that will work. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So
Sir,
guys, again, guys, I'm saying again and again, don't put message on the chat. I will give you enough time. When your time turn comes, you can ask me the question. I'm not going to check the chat window again and again. Yeah.
sir, whether that we are going to cover the link to concept or
No, I'm not going to
this,
cover. See, I'm not going to cover LearnQ concept, but if you want to learn LearnQ, right, I have already covered the LearnQ concept in detail in my C# training session, and I have already uploaded those LearnQ concept on my YouTube channel. If you want to learn LearnQ, just to go to my YouTube channel, I will share the link, and from there you can watch the LearnQ videos, and you can 100% you will understand the LearnQ concept in detail, because those who are attending my session, they might know these things, right? Already uploaded, you can go there and you can watch the LearnQ video. Those videos mean the sense, those are only live training sessions.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the
Next, yeah, one by one, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, hi,
Yes,
sir.
I want to know about what is the market share of this technology, and like how much is in demand, and how much package we can get after completing this course.
Okay. Yeah. See, if you are having some .NET experience, right? ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET Web API experience. Whenever nowadays, if you are attending any interview, right, the first and foremost question this asks you is, do you have experience on .NET Core? Why they are asking this question? Because the market is on .NET Core only. In my company, they are moving the project from .NET Framework to .NET Core only. And this is not only in the case of my companies, right? Many companies are also, they are moving from .NET Framework to .NET Core. Why? Because .NET Core is the future. Right, and this is, and if you see getting how much package you will get, that I can say that basically varies from company to company, that vary based on your experience, based on your how you handle the interview. But definitely what I can say is the future of a .NET developer is only .NET Core. That's what I can say. Clear?
Yeah, hi, sir.
Sir, in this topic, filters are covered.
Sorry, .NET filters.
Action filters.
Yeah, that is correct. So this middleware component, what I'm discussing now, these are nothing but it is equivalent to your filter, your models, HTTP models, so those things, right? We are going to cover those things, right? So once we start discussing that authorization part, at that time I will explain this thing.
Sir, for entity framework core, are you going
Yes.
to cover both the topics, database first
Yes,
approach and code
yes,
first
yes,
approach?
yes. Both I'm going to explain. How to work with existing database means database first approach, and how you can create your new database. That is good first approach. So both the approach I'm
Model.
going to explain in detail. Model first approach is not there. Model first approach is
No.
not there. Only database first
Okay.
and code first.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah. Next question.
And are we going to create the unit test cases?
Unit cases, right?
Unit test cases, yes. In
Yes, I have explained. I'm going to use two tools, right? One is MS test and one is XUnit for the unit testing. So this is
unit
nothing but
testing.
creating unit test.
Okay. And what about are we using the NuGet packages also here?
Yes, NuGet. See, if you want to download any package, right? Suppose JSON,
Like Swagger. Swagger.
Exactly. Swagger. So those things you can download from where? Only NuGet package. The way we are using the NuGet package in our old .NET Framework, in the same way we are also going to use the NuGet packages here.
Okay, fine. And
Next
Docker
question.
we are also using. Docker we are
Sorry?
also using, right? Docker and
So
Dockerization.
I'm just going to show you a basic introduction to Docker using ASP.NET Core Web. But I'm not going to explain the Docker concept, the cloud concept, Azure concept in detail. So just basic information.
Okay.
Okay. Next question, please.
Yes. Why like Microsoft has kept this ASP.NET Core open source and free to use? I mean,
See, now,
what they are gaining from it.
Yeah, so the reason is nowadays we are in the new era of the software development. Apart from Microsoft, right, all other technologies, all other framework, whatever you see in the market today, not today, before some year, everything is open source. So as people's mind is changed, as the demand of the software technology changes day by day, so they thought to bring the same concept into Microsoft. And this is the reason why. And nowadays people are not only what I can say bound to use Windows. They want to host their application in different server. They want to host their application into different machines. They want to develop application using different operating system. So because of that demand, right, they have decided to make a new revolutionary product, and that is nothing but your micro ASP.NET Core. And this is the reason why, because what market demand that they have to fulfill. It is not like that what they want that we will do. So it is the changes have been made. The changes means what as a developer, what as a company demands that have to be fulfilled by the Microsoft. And this is the reason why they make this as open source and a cross platform. Clear?
Mostly people are
Okay.
saying the Angular is absolutely in market.
Yes, yes. So I'm saying two things. Can you use only Angular application to develop a data-driven application? Directly, can you interact with the database using Angular?
Nope.
No. So for that purpose, what you need to do? Definitely a backend application is
8-9
required or not? Backend application is required or not? Where you need to provide all the kind of securities, right? So, and second thing, if you
Yes.
I want to give you a demo. Suppose not only see currently web application people are using Angular and React, right?
Every
People are
session
using,
will be start 7 a.m.
yes, it's exactly at 7 a.m.
Every session.
Yes, it's every session. So
Okay.
Angular, using only Angular, you cannot develop a data-driven application. So Angular needs some API, right, to perform the CRUD operation on the database. And that API part is going to be developed using ASP.NET Core Web API, which we are going to launch. And once we develop the API, right, that API is not only going to consume by the Angular application, that can be consumed by React application, that can be consumed by your ASP.NET Core MVC application, that can be consumed by your mobile application like Android, iOS, any things, right? So for that purpose, you need to learn .NET Core Web API. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Saga. Is this a full stack development course?
No, No, it's not a full stack development course, because for full stack development course, you need to understand the UI part as well. You should know what is HTML, what is CSS, what is Angular, what is JavaScript, right? What is jQuery, what is a database related activities. Those things you should know. But this is not full stack. This is only you can consider the web, ASP.NET core only. Right? For full stack, you need to understand those UI part as well.
Okay.
Sir,
Next.
related to this question, here in ASP.NET Core, we have Razor pages, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, so Razor pages means I think that's the UI part, which can interact with the backend web API, right?
No, it is, yes, it is a web-based application only. But the thing is that again, you need to learn the same thing, right? The backend application means even you can also develop the ASP.NET MVC application, and that MVC application can also interact with the backend database directly.
Okay.
That is also possible, na? What is ASP.NET Razor
Yes.
Pages? What is the difference between ASP.NET Core MVC and Razor Pages? That we will discuss. I will give you one example of how you can develop Razor Pages applications, right? And what is the difference with our ASP.NET MVC application? That I will show you.
Okay. So right now in like market, I mean in companies, MVC application is used or Razor pages are used, sir?
Mostly, if you talk about the industry, mostly web API are used, right? Even those who are working professional, right? Most of the time, ASP.NET core web API applications are used, and most of the application, the front end development is going to be developed using Angular, React, and then we are having some mobile applications, right? Like Android, iOS. For any kind of application you took into consideration, not only the web based, but also the mobile are also in demand, right? So mostly in the industry, they are developing or using ASP.NET Core Web API. And for the front-end activity, if it's a small application, only web-based is required, then ASP.NET Core, the MVC is enough. But if you want to develop all the things, right? All the things means you want a web application, you want a mobile Android application, you want a mobile iOS application, right? Then you need to use the backend application as the web API application, front-end application Angular, you can use MVC, you can use Android, iOS, anything you can use, right? But only web application you want to develop, right? Where there is no mobile applications, then in that case you can go with Razor Pages as well as ASP.NET MVC. But when it comes to develop the application for mobile mobile as well, then in that case you cannot go with this. You have to make the logic, make all these things inside your API, and then you can use any kind of UI framework to develop the UI or client applications. Clear?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Next
Uh,
question,
in,
guys.
in Web API, you are going to explain about clean architectures.
Sorry?
Clean architecture.
Clean architecture, see, again, yesterday also someone pinned in the chart clean architecture. So I'm again saying that clean architecture, onion architecture, solid design principle, right? These things I'm taking classes, not only classes, but I'm taking seminar, right, on those things. And I can invite you guys to join those seminar and log those things. That is completely free. Even those teacher people who learn from me, right? I'm already explain what is the solid principle, right? Again, I'm going to take seminar on clean architecture, onion architecture. You can join the session and you can learn. This is not part of the syllabus. That is completely free to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Next question. No, C# business logic comes under backend, or it is only database that is considered as backend. See, backend means what? Database is something different. Database is the database, that is also part of backend, but where you want to write the business logic, that business logic, for writing the business logic, you need one application that is also going to be hosted in the server, right? That is also comes as part of your backend only. Next question, guys.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, currently I have experience in ASP.NET MVC and Web API. So, how will be the session of the benefit for me for the .NET Core? How will that? What is the major difference for that?
See, if you are having prior experience of ASP.NET Core, MVC, and Web API, then it will be very much helpful to you because most of the
No,
concept, right,
not
as I
Core.
discussed.
Only MVC. Only
No,
MVC
no,
and Web API.
that is what I'm saying. You have experience on ASP.NET, MVC, and Web API, right?
Yes.
Then it will be very much helpful to you to learn and understand the ASP.NET Core MVC and ASP.NET Core Web API. Why? Because most of the concept, see, how we are going to implement that is going to be different. But the concept wise, it is going to be similar. The routing concept you used in the MVC Web API, again the same routing concept we are going to use here. Fluent validation and data annotation we use in the Web API and MVC, same thing also we are going to use here. But what major differences is how these things are going to be implemented. So what is these things, you know. How to implement this thing, that is going to be, you need to understand here. Right? Otherwise, if you are having prior experience, it is good to, and you can easily grab and capture the concept very easily. But concept wise, see, API means you know what is. API means you need to create some services. Those services are going to be consumed by different clients. So whether it is ASP.NET Core Web API or whether it is ASP.NET Web API, main objective is going to be same. Clear?
Yeah. Okay. So
Next question,
basically,
guys.
what is the major difference in the .NET Core and MVC?
See,
Like
major
Web API.
difference as I told is that .NET framework what you developed earlier, ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Web API, those are not open source and cross-platform. You have to host them inside IIS only. You have to host them within Windows operating system only. But now with .NET Core MVC and Web API, it is not restricted to Windows environment. You can host into different servers like Apache Tomcat, like Nginx. You can develop application, run application, not only Windows but also Mac and Linux. So these are the major changes that you can find with the ASP.NET Core, which is not available in ASP.NET. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
And coming to the technical differences, there are no more differences. The way only the implementation way is going to be changed. How you develop the application in ASP.NET MVC directly, there is a global.axs file, there is web config file, right? Those things are not available in ASP.NET Core. Here we are having app settings.json file, launch settings.json file, right? Here we are having the program class main method. So implementation way is different, and what you the way you implemented in ASP.NET.
Yes, sir.
So what is the
Recently, I
difference?
have
That is
implemented. Yeah, recently I have implemented in the .NET Core in the card operation, simple card operation. But I know that syntax logic, but how the flow will be executed, that I know to know.
exactly that is how the flow is executed. That is what I am going to explain here. How the application start, how the application hosts the web server, from where the application execution start, what are the middleware components, and those things I'm going to explain here only. You will understand those things very in detail in this course.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Next question, guys.
Hi, sir. Is it required to learn .NET Core before ASP.NET Core? Is it required to learn .NET Core?
So you are here to learn .NET Core, na? So
No.
.NET Core,
My question
ASP.NET.
is
Yes.
.NET Core will be the platform and ASP.NET will be framework.
See, .NET Core, if we are not going to learn, .NET Core provides the platform where we can, which will going to execute our application code. We are not here to learn .NET Core.
What my
That
question
platform.
is
We are here
.NET
to learn
framework has some different architect and life cycle, everything, right? So it will be same for both .NET framework and .NET Core.
See, let me clear you one thing, then you will understand. See, .NET framework and .NET Core platform, right, which is going to execute our application, right? That
Yes.
platform we are not going to learn here. We are going to learn how we can develop the application using the framework. That ASP.NET Core framework we are going to learn here. Once we learn the .NET Core framework, we need to develop the application, and that application is going to be executed by the .NET Core platform. That .NET Core platform, that is nothing to be learned, right? When you learn the ASP.NET Web API, right? You learn the ASP.NET Web API and you host the application. But do you learn how that application is going to be executed by .NET framework? That is the internal part. They have provided the platforms where you can run your application, right? So that, how to develop the application, how to host the application, right? That is what we are going to learn. We are going to learn the framework, not the platform.
Okay.
Next question, guys.
Sir, without scaffolding using the application, then why are you using the scaffolding in applications?
Yes, scaffolding. Without using the scaffolding, you have to write everything. You have to create the method. As part of the method, you have to write the logic. You have to create the views. Everything you have to do manually, right? But in this case, what is there? Like, as per your requirement, you can do this. As per your requirement means what? Some. Or you can use the view model concept, where multiple model you want to pass as a input parameter to the view. But this is not possible using scaffolding. Scaffolding basically means to what? One model is there. For that particular model, you want to perform the CRUD operation. Then for that purpose, you can use scaffolding, which will eliminate the need to write the code as a developer. But if you want to do everything manually, as per your requirement, you can do this manually. But if you want that I'm having only one model, and for that particular model, I want to perform the CRUD operation, then you can use scaffolding. Scaffolding, once you use, then it will generate the code. Then once the code is generated, then if you want, then you can modify it. There is only difference is that scaffolding means automatically code is going to be generated, and manually means you have to write all the right. But thing is that whatever manual or scaffolding is going to generate, for that part you have to provide a single model. For that particular model, it is going to generate the code. If you are doing manually, it is up to you whether you want to use one model, two model, three model, any modification. Means manually means whatever you want. Scaffolding means whatever the default code view or required, right? That is going to be provided by the scaffolding. Only just to eliminate the need to create the action method, create the views, writing the default code. These are going to be provided by scaffolding. Once you get the default code, again, if you want, you can modify it. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Next question, guys.
Sir, Devas here. Like, is there any fast track section will be there, or it will be so before because it will be 4 months, so it will be long time. So, is there any fast track course?
There is no person. So you are you from Hyderabad?
No. I'm not from Hyderabad. I'm
Because
from
because
the.
when I start learning, right, in the year 2010 and 11, I went to Hyderabad for learning the concept, right, .NET. So at that time there are two types of a course. One is a fast track and one is a normal track, right? That is why I asked you. There is nothing such called fast track and slow track, right? Only difference is the timing. So in normal track they will take less time. In fast track they will give you more time for the course. Otherwise there is no differences. Right? So in this case, I'm going to give my best, and definitely it will take some time because as you can see, the course is very huge, very long. So if you want to learn the concept in detail, then you have to give your time. And if you want to that the course should be completed in 2 months, 3 months, then this is not possible to be planned. And I can't say in the beginning that the session is going to be is going to be completed in 2 months or 3 months. That is not possible for me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sir, will you cover .NET Core 4 Web API migration? No, this is not, I'm not going to cover these things. Right? Next question, please. If no more question, then we can stop the session.
Sir, as part of unit testing, sir, like will you be able to cover some concepts like mocking and all?
Exactly. Mocking, I'm going to cover. Means how I can use the actual database, how I can use the mock database, right? Those kind of things I'm going to cover. Because,
Yes, sir, because
yeah, definitely that is going to cover, right? Because I'm a working professional. I know what is mock database, what is actual database, how we are going to do all this. That is what as part of the testing I'm going to cover.
not only database, sir, because sometimes I have seen in some applications like they mock some control like services and repositories and all those things.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to cover that as part of the unit test.
okay, sir.
Next question, please.
Sir, regarding the course fees and how can you pay online?
So this is the guys. You can take a screenshot of this one, right? Already 72 students have already registered for this training. They have already made payment. Only 8 seats are available. Those who wants to join this training program, they have to make the payment. And once they have made the payment, they have to share the screenshot on my Telegram ID or using the below WhatsApp or email ID. And then you can confirm. Only 8 seats are left
But
before.
sir, your WhatsApp number is not connectivity on WhatsApp.
Yes, it is completely active.
But sir, I'm trying to before 1 hour.
No, currently, once I am starting the session, I'm not checking my WhatsApp, right? So at this time, I'm only keep focusing on the training session. I'm just keep silent my mobile phone. I'm not taking a single call. I'm not taking a single. I'm not replying to anyone either
No,
in the
I'm
WhatsApp
not
or
doing the call. I'm just connect on a WhatsApp.
exactly. That's what I'm saying now. When I'm taking the session, I only keep focus on my monitor screen, not on my mobile. So once the session started, I'm not
Sir,
checking the
I'm
mobile.
saying it's not showing the WhatsApp in this number.
People who are already there, they are sending me this message 7021801173. This is my WhatsApp number. This is my country code. And
Sir,
from the
actually,
people,
I'm from
so
Pakistan.
you are from Pakistan.
Yeah.
Then you have to. Did you apply this country code?
Yeah, I want.
I don't think so. If you apply the country code, then it will be like this. So this will be shown. Okay. So guys, next question.
Sir, can I get the recording session?
Yes.
For
See, as I
example, if I
mentioned.
meet.
So
Yes,
I
sir.
think, did you attend the session from the beginning?
No, sir. Actually, uh, from some weather condition, I'm not able to.
Okay, so here I have completely mentioned this. Okay. As this training program is online, you might be missing some of the classes due to office work, internet, electricity, medical problem, time zone, any personal problem, right? So we are going to provide the daily recorded session as well as daily class notes to each and everyone at the end of the session, right? Plus, I'm taking some doubt clearing sessions on the weekend. So if you miss any class and after watching the recorded session, if you have any query or doubt, then you can join the doubt clearing session and clear your doubt. So all the sessions are going to be uploaded on my Telegram channel.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So just guys, take a screenshot of this payment right details. Only 8 seats are left. Whoever wants to join this session, they have to make the payment and they have to confirm the seat. Only 8 seats are 11. Already 72 students made their payment and they confirm their booking. And whoever not join our Telegram group, please join.
A link has been already shared for that, right, in the WhatsApp.
Yes, yes. I think you have sent you yesterday you have a discussion, right?
Yes, I didn't join. I will join today after
Yeah,
this hour.
so, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Any more question from anyone, or shall we stop the session?
Yeah,
Okay.
better to stop.
I'm not showing the WhatsApp in this number.
But more, okay. Do one thing. Send a message to this email ID. Email ID is also there, right?
Okay.
Because most of the people are contacting me with this WhatsApp number only. Okay. Thank you guys for your time.
Sir, it's showing download. Do I need to download the Telegram on the mobile?
You have to install Telegram app. Yes.
There is a download button on right top right.
So just go to Play Store or App Store, whatever mobile phone you are using, Android or iOS. Download the Telegram app, and that's it.
And the link will come on that, right? Okay.
Yes.
So what name you are gonna get on?
Sorry.
On the Google Pay. Hello.
Hello.
So what name I'm gonna get on the Google Pay?
Telegram. So for the payment.
Yes, sir.
Payment you will get my name as Pranay Kumar Rao.
Pranay Kumar Rao. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.